So, welcome once again to SHOPLINE Presents Targeted Retail Advertising that Converts with Meta. So, today on our agenda, we'll introduce to you, firstly, of course, what SHOPLINE's product is about, especially for those of you who are new and have never heard of SHOPLINE before. And of course, to understand why is it important to actually utilize Facebook or Meta's offline conversion API, some of the case studies and success stories that they have had through using this offline conversion API to drive better and more enhanced targeting for their advertising. And of course, we'll round it off all together with a Q&A and a demo session on SHOPLINE, on how you can utilize SHOPLINE to integrate with this Meta offline conversion API. So, who will be speaking today? We have Yihan, who is the Technical Partner Manager from Meta. She is a great product management specialist with a huge background in management consulting. She has demonstrated a really good wealth of experiences of partnering with corporate leaders on strategy, design, and implementation to increase performance and drive revenue. So today she will be our main speaker who will be sharing more about SHOPLINE and Meta's conversion API integration. We also have Kush who will be participating in our Q&A session. He has spent over 14 years across various markets in Asia Pacific, 8 years of which have been in Southeast Asia. His current role is it focuses on commerce platform strategy across Asia Pacific, enabling merchants to be successful on Facebook via various APIs and solution integration. And of course, I'll be doing the introduction. My name is Ailey. I'm the Merchant Experience Manager at SHOPLINE. And what I've done is that I've helped implement various merchants' digitalization and unified commerce strategy. And my current role involves taking care of various teams across support, implementation, and merchant engagement to drive better user experience within SHOPLINE. So without further ado, let's start today's session. So as we all know, right now, e-commerce is definitely on the rise. There is, and of course, it's unstoppable, right? There are 4.11 trillion USD revenue expected to be reached by 2023. And of course, we see year on year, the growth of e-commerce has been exponential, and it's estimated to be about 11.51%, which is huge and phenomenal. And estimated by 2027, online shoppers will hit 5.29 billion, right? 5.29 billion people will be shopping online. And so we all know e-commerce is really very important. So what next, right? What is on the rise? In fact, we believe that unified commerce will be the future of retail. Customers will be wanting a more seamless experience between online and offline shopping. And we're not just talking about omnichannel, whereby a business is present in various sales channels. For example, online you have your e-commerce website, offline you have your retail store, and you have social media channels, etc., etc. So that's being omnichannel, being available on multiple channels, right, including marketplaces. Unified commerce is a step above that. Unified commerce is about being able to have all of these channels speak together. You are present in multiple areas, but can the experience for your consumers then be seamless across multiple touch points? You will need a solution or an ability to unify the experience, the data, the inventory, the membership criteria and benefits for your customers everywhere, right, across all of these possible sales channels. So in fact, it is reported that 60 to 70% of customers prefer omnichannel shopping options, which both in-person and online interactions will be provided for, right? And of course, 52% of e-commerce websites sell in other channels outside of your control. For example, you could be selling on marketplaces like Amazon, and in Southeast Asia, you'll be selling on Shopee, Lazada, etc. Furthermore, survey shows that 75% of buyers use multiple channels during their shopping process. So you're not only shopping, right? Commerce side, you're not just shopping on online channels like your e-commerce or your online channels like marketplaces, but you're also interacting with brands through various touch points. Apart from websites, it would be your social media channel on Facebook, on Instagram. Customers are learning about businesses through content and through ads, and then proceeding to understand, discover, and then convert on your website, right? And of course, 72% of online shoppers agree that in-store experiences are important when making a purchase decision. So sometimes customers who are shopping online, they may be browsing offline in your retail outlets as well, and vice versa, right? They could be browsing online and then coming into your retail outlets to purchase from you. So before we go into what Meta provides, just to give some of you new people an understanding of what Shopline solution is about, so that you guys can draw the link better later on when we're doing the presentation, is that Shopline solutions allows you to sell everywhere and anywhere with our SaaS solution. So our platform allows you to go into almost every vertical, right? E-commerce wise, you can use our system to build your own website, manage your orders, online orders, and inventory. Social commerce, for some of you guys who are unaware of what social commerce is actually one of the next big wave that is currently here, right? Live streaming, engaging customers over WhatsApp chat, over Instagram DMs, Facebook live streaming and posts. All of these content and selling can also be integrated within Shopline system, right? Point of sale, if you have a retail store, you'll need an inventory database and an ability to sell your online products offline as well, so that inventory syncs across these channels. And we do marketplace integrations. So you can integrate, let's say, Amazon, Lazada, Shopee into the Shopline system. And that covers the entire scope required for unified commerce. And of course, with Shopline system, there are things like membership system that you can use to unify your e-commerce, social commerce, and point of sale experience for your customers. So that's generally and briefly about Shopline. So what is it about the Meta Conversion API, and how can you redefine this journey for your customers offline and online? So earlier we touched on the fact that customers are experiencing or browsing with our merchants through various touch points. They could be on your online channels, social media, looking at your ads, your content, going to your offline stores to purchase. So there needs to be a synergy in terms of the advertising data that goes from online to offline and offline to online then again. So with this feature, Meta Conversion API, you're enhancing the content and data that's being fed back into the pixels. And from there, you can then refine the targeting of your ads to your consumer. So without further ado, I'll now be inviting Yihan up to share about the Meta Conversion API. Yihan, please.
Yeah, thank you, Ali. And glad to meet everyone. I'm Yihan. As Ali introduced, I'm the technical partner manager from Meta. So very glad to be here. And yeah, let's get started. So before we get into this solution from Meta, let's first look at some data and some the background as well. So based on our survey from last year, omnichannel shoppers, they make purchases 70% more often, and they also spend about 1/3 more than people who only shop exclusively in stores. Next slide, please. And over the past couple of years, we've also observed that the shopping journey is increasingly beginning online and also ending in stores. So globally, we see that 2 in 5 surveyed shoppers, they reported they engage in web rooming. So what is web rooming? It means that they first research online and then they buy from offline store. This almost doubles the number of shoppers who reported the same behavior in 2020. So that was a very quick increase in numbers. Next slide. And if we look at the whole journey of the omni-channel, we can see that it has evolved drastically. So it started first with just the retail brands focused on selling their products on a very just one retail channel. And then after that, if you look from left to right, then the second stage is that with the emergence of internet and e-commerce, then people start to buy from different channels. But there will be different teams from the business managing the different channels. Then as we further progress in terms of the time, you get to see that actually the relationship management has evolved, and we start to have one single team that managing various channels. And going forward, we expected, like Ellie mentioned earlier, we hope to, we are seeing that it will progress into more unified commerce, where all the channels will be managed by the whole same team, and it starts to become even more integrated with each other. And from this slide, you will see that actually offline retail still makes the majority of the share across all markets in APAC. Even for China, which where the e-commerce is most dominated, it still has 53% of offline retail penetration. Yeah. Can move on to next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah, so with this background, what does it mean to your business? So when a customer interacts with your business, that creates data. So online data is, for example, as a customer viewing several brands of, say, facial creams and reading about the unique benefits of each facial cream. And offline data is really about the same customer is making, for example, a purchase from a shop. So this creates a huge opportunity, because the opportunity itself lies in developing a strategy that ties together all these data and to build a more complete picture for what your customers are doing. And that will allow you to determine where and how your marketing is actually driving impact for your business. Next slide. And this is how Meta can help with Conversions API. So by adopting Conversions API, you can actually start your journey to drive a more data-driven marketing. So it will allow you to use the omni-channel data that you have permission to use to, one, significantly improve your advertising performance, and two, improve your measurement intelligence. For example, determine which channel is driving the best results, and so that you can double down on what works better for you. To continue reach your valuable customers, such as this person in the picture. So connecting your online and in-store data will help you not only better understand her unique needs, but also help you to, one, create a more seamless shopping experience across all channels, and also reach your customers whenever they shop. And also, three, to better understand the real impact of your Meta advertising spend. But first, I want to explain how the Conversions API work. Next slide. Yeah, so Conversions API, it's by the name, it's an API. So what it does is that it will send the data from all channels, including web, which we use a metapixel, or traditionally we use a metapixel from a browser-based technology. But now with the API, it creates a direct connection between your marketing data and the systems from Meta. So it allows you to send in data from not only web, but also offline and app, so from other channels as well. So it will help you to, one, optimize ad targeting, and to decrease the performance, and also measure the results across Meta technologies. Okay, the benefits compared to website is that it doesn't really depend on, for example, the pixel performance or the web browser stability. So therefore, this is the direction that Meta is also driving towards as well. Next slide, please. Next one. Next one, please. Yeah. So just to call out one big benefit for Conversions API is for targeting. So for example, say it will actually be quite similar to offline Conversions API, that offline events sent through can be used for say attributed store sales measurement and store-based custom audience creation. So for example, a shopper that bought a $300 item, say from their shop, and then this data will then be shared with Meta using Conversions API. And based on that data, then you can create a custom audience, which is targeted at shoppers like this one. So it could be either a custom audience that for the shoppers who have already made an offline purchase from your shop, or you can create a custom lookalike audience, which is similar to this group of shoppers. Okay, next slide. Yeah, so we've already touched on the second benefit, which is about targeting an audience. And at the same time, it will also help you to view your ROAS, return on ad spend, from a single measurement point of view. And also going forward, it will also allow you to participate in the other omni-channel solutions as well. Now, with the understanding of the landscape as well as how Conversions API for omnichannel work, let's look at some case studies. So one example is that Hudson Bay Company. So this is an Canadian retail, and it's one of the oldest company in North America. So they want to assess how effective their ads, Facebook ads is to drive their omni-channel sales growth across 89 physical locations in Canada. So what they did is that they adopted a so-called geo-experimentation to measure the lift in online and indoor sales. So what they do is that they did a test versus control, where one city is exposed to the Facebook ads versus another city where the ads were not exposed to. And then they measure the results, comparing the test versus the control. So the results was that they were able to measure lift in online and in-store sales as a result of the campaigns on Facebook and Instagram. So the company saw a 12.9, so almost 13 times incremental return on ad spend utilizing this approach, which means that every USD or $1 spent in Meta drove almost $13 in incremental omni-channel sales. Yeah, that was a really surprising number. And other examples, for example, for Rimowa, they also achieved a significant lift in their incremental omni-channel sales, and they achieved a 2.2 times lift in ROAS. And next one, please. The other examples include Index Living Mall, which is a Thailand-based furnishing shops company, and they achieved 23 times in ROAS using the omni-channel sales approach. Yeah, and last but not least, we also have DFS, the success story from DFS, and they achieved almost 3 times in the ROAS and 13.5 times for online and offline ROAS, and 3 times for just offline sales. Okay, next. Yeah, next I'll pass back to Ellie. But with SHOPLINE, Meta has been working very closely with SHOPLINE to build the omni-channel capabilities include using Conversions API, which I just talked about. So I'll pass back to Ali to talk more about the solution.
Thanks, Ihan.
Thank you.
So, like what Ihan has shared, we have worked very closely with Meta to create some integrations. And on this slide, Ihan has showcased some of our integrated retail capabilities. So, like I mentioned earlier, Shopline covers multiple pillars across a customer's sales journey, whether be it shopping on marketplaces, online on e-commerce, engaging with you and your content through social media, or even, shopping with you in your own retail outlets. Shopline integrates all of these solutions into one platform. This allows you to then track, firstly, your inventory in real time. Secondly, integrate your loyalty programs across socials, across your website, and across your retail outlets. Third, you gain real-time analytics across all these channels at the same time so that you understand the performance of not just your products as a whole, but your business as a whole. You can also be able to enable certain omnichannel capabilities. For example, online purchase, in-store pickup, or in-store purchase, online delivery, right? You can also enable integrated in-person payments and of course, your apps like your email marketing can then integrate the data across all of these multiple touch points to become even more targeted and more personalized for your consumers. And for those of you guys who are in Southeast Asia, you guys may be aware that to be in a mall, to be in a shopping mall, you need to ensure that data, your gross turnover, is being fed back into the shopping mall, right? And that's how some shopping malls in Southeast Asia will charge you. And because of that, Shopline is able to integrate with the shopping malls gross turnover integration to directly feed that data back to the malls without you guys having to do additional legwork. So what does this then do, right? With a system like this, you'll then be able to integrate Meta's conversion API into the mix to power your advertising so that your data, like what Ihan has shared earlier, is even more enhanced. And that's also how you can drive some of the similar successes that Ihan has shared earlier as well. So then the question comes, how can you actually do it? How can you set this up? It seems like it's so complicated. Well, it's not really that complicated, and I'll be showing you guys very shortly. So I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, so this is the Shopline backend admin, and this is the Facebook business settings, right? The business meta management that you guys will be familiar with. So under data sources, pixels, you can use it on an existing pixel or you can create a new pixel. So for today, I'm going to just do a test pixel. And of course, this is in my own test environment as well. So once you have this, you can open it up in the events manager. What you need are just a few simple items. First, you need to set the conversion API up. You can choose to set it up manually. So these are the content. So you set it up as per your usual pixel. Okay. So I'm just going to breeze through it. So once the pixel has been set up, you can then do a few things. Firstly is to go into settings and make sure that you are able to generate an access token. Back in Shopline, under the Facebook section, you'll be able to connect a pixel. So over here, you could click on add to add the pixel. And of course, if you guys ever forget, you could click on need help to hit to our FAQ section to revise on what the steps required. But the first thing you paste is the Facebook pixel. So the Facebook pixel is your pixel ID. So once with that, paste that in. Access token, this is what you have generated here, right? Under set it up manually. Once that is done, paste that in, save and verify, and that's it. You would have already connected the tool and the conversion API with the Shopline ecosystem, right? So, and that's how easy it is to integrate conversion API with the Shopline system. And there, a lot of people feel that, oh, it's going to be very complicated, but not so, right? So what this conversion API then do is that it will be collecting data of your customers whenever they make an offline purchase, and it will feed back things like the product that is being sold, the average order value into your ads so that they can refine their search and refine their targeting into who are they actually targeting to optimize your ad spend even further. And that's how you can increase your return on ad spend because you're optimizing on who is the target audience that is being reached with the ads that you're driving through Facebook. Okay, so
Want to sell online and kick off?
So on this note, we have also demonstrated, how you can actually be able to set up your own conversion API for those of you guys who are Shopline merchants. And those of you guys who are not, you also have a brief understanding of what Shopline's capabilities are. So right now, we want to open up the floor to any questions. If there are no questions, currently I do have a list, and that's maybe I can now invite Kush and Ihan onto the moderating table, and then we can, begin some of the Q&A first. Okay, so for those of you guys who are sitting across the screen, please don't be shy. Leave your questions either under the chat section or under the Q&A tab. Right. So maybe the first question to Kush and Ihan, either of you guys can pick it up. What do you see as the greatest, I would say, potential of this conversion API? And what's the future that Meta is envisioning for this feature to go?
I think three things. First of all, thanks Ali for the question, and you and Ian to present. I think three things. One, we feel the dependency with the whole rollout which Apple started with ATT and all this the way we are moving towards a privacy first world. I think the integration with the server, which internally we call it conversions API, is sort of the future. So I think privacy-led personalization, my first point is the future. So I think part one is we see this coming more and more. Second, we see data sources across all channels, which omnichannel, we call it, is something which is happening. And that's where I think a great partner like Shopline is something, we're collaborating and doing pretty well. The third, which is the main point, is performance, right? Given the solution is aimed towards sellers or merchants, we want to help benefit them in terms of performance, right? So as Ihan talked in the presentation, different case studies. There was one in Thailand, there was one in Canada, so we have all geographies. So we've done about 100 different sort of lift studies / analysis across the world to prove that once you do data sources across multiple interfaces, it leads to performance improvement. So I'll probably summarize. Those are three things we're looking into going into the future, as well as from a seller point of view.
Yeah, thanks, Kush, for sharing. I think it's very exciting to see that we're going into such a data-first world where privacy is still being protected, but at the same time, we're able to drive even more and even enhanced targeting for advertisers and brands out there. So maybe my next question is more for Ihan to share. because I think there are a lot of SMBs or businesses who are still on the cusp of digitalizing, and for some of them, they may not have had, um, I would say, advertising done before. Um, for to as a first step, what would you guys advise them as a great gateway to start advertising or even testing out the effectiveness of conversion API?
That's a good question. Typically, we would recommend um, our merchants just to conduct a sort of, we call it A/B testing, essentially a test versus a control. So you probably, for example, the advertisers, they can run the similar campaigns, but then with and without conversions API to test the effectiveness of the results from those two and compare.
Right. And what would be some of the best practices that you would advise merchants to have?
I think if merchants, just to add to what Ian said, if merchants want to run like a test, I think there are 2-3 things we need to figure out. One is, of course, the campaign needs to be minimum 2 week. Second, there need to be a minimum 50 conversions in that 2 week. And the third is make sure the setup is okay in terms of with and without, right? Because you want to see the performance improvement. So I think probably those 3 things I'll say in order to test it out. But as I said, we've the reason why we are externally sharing all this is because we have done our internal research with with these 100 plus partner, or sorry, merchants slash clients across the world, and we're very convinced that this multi-channel or omni-channel approach is sort of like the future in terms of performance and benefit for the merchants.
Yeah. And to add on to what Kush said, so the data quality is also very important being sent through Conversions API. So there's a jargon we say that junk in, junk out. So with good quality of data, then Conversions API would be proved to be very effective.
That is a very good point, right? Data, the how clean the data is, and how would you then define how would businesses go about ensuring that these data is good data?
Yeah. So actually, I would say this lies a lot on partners. And for example, Shopline, we have been working very closely with Shopline to increase the quality of the merchants' data even further. It has been already pretty good. And then we even took an extra step to improve it from good to great. So I would say that it actually lies a lot with the partner, and especially for the commerce partners. It has a lot of data already, so it can send in all the data that you have to the Meta, and then Meta, of course, within the privacy, the boundaries of privacy, and then we will treat and look at the data in order to feed into the ads performance optimization, etc.
Really great point. I think on Shopline's end, right, we always advise merchants to set up the conversion API, and then they can then monitor over maybe a period of a month to 2 months for the data to funnel through the conversion API and to start collecting that data. Because obviously for merchants who are just starting on it takes time, right, to gather the information and have it refine the targeting. So for those of you who are sitting across the screen and want to try it out, do test it out and then give it some time, because some of these data collection, they take time to shape the advertising and the targeting as well, right? So maybe for Kush and Ihan, do you guys have any advice for some of these merchants who may not have offline retail presence? Are there any other ways, apart from offline businesses, to
Mm.
funnel data in? Because earlier you
Yeah.
guys shared that there are other ways like apps, etc., which can funnel that in. Apart from offline businesses, um, are there any other ways they can utilize
Yeah.
conversion API?
Yeah. So the way we say this is, as I start the conversation, it's multi-channel, right? So you can have one channel, you can have 10 channels, from that perspective. Now, think of conversions API as like one endpoint, like one entry point, which can have different action sources. What I mean by action sources is where the purchase happens, right? So a purchase can happen on Messenger. In Southeast Asia, conversations are pretty heavy. It can happen on the app. It can happen online, or it happen offline. From that perspective. So depending on where the action or the data source or purchase happens, we can all tie back to the endpoint, which in this case we call conversions API. So what I'm trying to get to with this is, depending on, as Yihan said, junk in, junk out, right? Depending on what data you're sending, of course, there is a parameter which your engineering team, Shopline engineering team, has figured this piece out, and then accordingly, that data can be inputted, and of course, the output, can be made cross-channel pretty effective in terms of performance.
Got you. Okay, so I'm checking the chat and the Q&As. Currently, we don't have any further questions from the floor. It seems like they really found that the presentation was really clear and they're able to capture the essence. So I do hope to see more people coming in to ask us about how we can get started on Conversion API. And of course, for those of you guys who, after today's session, and then after the video, you guys still have some questions about how you can set up Conversion API in Shopline. Don't forget, we do have the FAQ guide that are found within the Shopline page and user panel. Alternatively, you can also contact our support team, and they'll be able to guide you through the setup process as well, right? So I'll just leave the Q&A channels open for another 5 more minutes before we close off the questions. And before we leave, I would like to appreciate and say thank you for Ihan and Kush for their time today, sharing their insights and their knowledge on the next big wave, the Conversion API, to be able, and how this tool can actually help refine the advertising and help grow our merchants' business and their e-commerce and commerce growth as well. So really, really thank you to Ihan and Kush. And for those of you guys sitting across the screen, do share with us your feedback on how today's session went. It'll be great for you guys to share with us, so that we can refine our content, refine the overall experience for our merchants like yourselves, or for anyone who wants to learn more about Shopline or about Shopline's integrations with Meta, because we do have an upcoming webinar with Meta on the 28th or 29th. I need to check the date, but it's about CTX, right? Click to messaging ad content, and how that can be integrated into a unified message center platform, and then how then ads that click to message can drive conversion for businesses out there, right? So, I see a question coming in. What's the best way to make sure our data is best practice? Ihan or Kush?
Yeah, I'll first speak from Meta's perspective, and Eddie, feel free to add on. Or Kush, feel free to add on. So from Meta's perspective, the most important one that came to my mind is actually on the pixel installation. So once you manage to store, so pixel installation, of course, it's specific to web data. So once you manage to get pixel installed, for example, in a standard way or via another, say, via a partner, then Pixel will start to collect the data pretty automatically. And then Conversions API will also be able to send in the so-called duplicate data across as well. Yeah.
You want to address a second the junk in, junk out as well, or do you want?
There's another question on, you say junk in, junk out. How can I be sure my stored data is really optimized? Okay, that's another good question. So at the moment, so I believe that the stored data, Ellie, please feel free to correct me, but the stored data is now being shared with Shopline, and then Shopline will send in the stored data to Meta, right? So there are a few requirements that we need from the store data, and the most important one is actually called order ID. And apart from that, there are some standard data fields. I'm pretty sure that they are being passed on already. For example, when the order has been occurred, and also the event name, whether it's a purchase, whether it's another form of event that happened in store, and please feel free to send them in as well. And in addition to that, I believe we also have a requirement for the freshness of the data as well. So it needs to be occurred within several days of the event happening.
So in terms of the data, when, for example, an offline transaction happens, like what Ian has shared, the system automatically would have a few things that will be generated, right? The order data would contain your order number ID, which is then directly fed into Meta. And within it, there's other things like the items, the product title of the items purchased, the order value, and the order quantity. And all these data would then be sent directly from the Shopline system into Meta. So I would say in terms of store data being optimized, it's not something that many merchants will need to be concerned about, because all of these is done through the integration between Shopline and Meta. So the information flows whenever a transaction comes in, it flows and goes into Meta. Of course, if you're doing multiple rounds of testing, you're placing your own test orders, that may affect the actual data collected. So I do advise for merchants to set up conversion API once they have launched, so that you ensure that all of the data coming in is actual real data that is being collected from real transactions.
Yeah.
All right.
Good point.
I'll get the last question. I think is around the Facebook shop and then how the API integration works. So the way the shop is based on is a catalog, and the catalog integration is, we've already done the catalog integration with Shopline already. So the minute you update your own website, your catalog, automatically the Facebook catalog gets updated, given we have an API, from a catalog API perspective in sync. And automatically, let's say you're adding a new variant of shirt, you add on your admin panel via Shopline, you add that new SKU or that variant, automatically get that synced. So you don't need to worry, just make the changes at Shopline's end, and automatically the catalog changes real time can be done at the Facebook end as well.
Yeah, and just to add on, so for the API integration here, so for conversions API, what we call is, it refers to data happening outside of Meta platforms or Facebook or Instagram. So that's what we termed as offsite data. Whereas when you refer to Facebook or InstaShop, this is what we call on-site data. So this is what Kush referred to as being collected via catalog, etc.
Okay, so really good question from Ruby there. Really insightful explanations and discussion as well from Kush and Ihan. So I'm just checking to see that as of right now there aren't any one more question. Okay, thanks Ruby. Thanks. So I think as of right now there aren't any more questions. So really thankful for having Ihan and Kush here today, who have shared such great insights and such great information. And really looking forward to seeing the rest of our viewers for our CTX webinar, whereby we will be talking more about clicks and messaging ads and how merchants can leverage off those to drive better customer engagement and better transactions and conversions. Okay, so thank you, Ihan, thank you, Kush, and thank you all of you guys who have joined us today. Do share with me your feedback on today's event so that we can have better information on how we can plan out future events, future, I would say, webinars, to see what other content out there. Is it something that you guys are interested in? And if we can invite Meta back again for even more sharing, or if if you like, who else, right, to invite for our next webinar series. Okay, so thank you everyone, and of course, thank you to our presenters today. And yes,
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
thank you
everyone.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Want to sell online and kick off your e-commerce journey? Here's how Shopline can help. Whether you're an entrepreneur that does it alone, a startup looking to scale your business, or a business that is going through a digital transformation, create a unique online presence and achieve omnichannel sales. Personalize a website in seconds using our drag and drop builder. Unlock your store potential with the Shopline App Store. Track each and every step with our analytics dashboard. Aim high and sell cross-border with built-in global selling features. Our merchant success team is here 24/7 to assist and nurture your brand strategically. Your business is safe in our hands. Over 350,000 merchants worldwide choose Shopline. What are you waiting for? Succeed anywhere using Shopline. Want to sell online and kick off your e-commerce journey? Here's how Shopline can help. Whether you're an entrepreneur that does it alone, a startup looking to scale your business, or a business that is going through a digital transformation, create a unique online presence and achieve omnichannel sales. Personalize a website in seconds using our drag and drop builder. Unlock your store potential with the Shopline App Store. Track each and every step with our analytics dashboard. Aim high and sell cross-border with built-in global selling features. Our merchant success team is here 24/7 to assist and nurture your brand strategically. Your business is safe in our hands. Over 350,000 merchants worldwide choose Shopline. What are you waiting for? Succeed anywhere using Shopline.
Thank you for everyone who has joined us today. We have come to the end of our Shopline Presents targeted retail advertising that converts with Meta. We'll be sending out the recording at the end of the session. So really appreciate everyone who has joined the session today. Thank you, and we hope to see you in our next session. Bye-bye.